7 things to do before filing for divorce. Number 1, create a budget and plan your finances. Judge Wiley once said in one of our hearings, when parties were fighting for 7 days in trial on domestic violence issues, mutually domestic violence issues, do you want your children to go to college, or do you want your attorney's children to go to college? Divorce can be really expensive. It can easily be, if it's nasty enough, $500,000. So plan accordingly and make sure you budget it and know when to settle, know when to go to mediation. Of course, you cannot control everything, but make sure you're not causing the financial disaster. Number 2, gather all documents. What I mean by that, if, for example, during the marriage, you had separate property claims, either inheritance or you happen to have money from prior to the marriage, or you had gifts coming in, you would need to prove that it's your separate property. So it means you would need to show documents or bank statements that that money was coming from somewhere else, loans, whatever it is that you want to claim your separate property, you need to have those documents. On the other hand, since we are in the California law presumption where everything is community, if your spouse has been cheating, spending money on things you didn't approve, prostitutes or diamonds or whatever that is, then you would need to gather all community property related statement, even in the other spouse's name, in order to show and look through the marriage what was spent that you didn't approve, that didn't benefit the community. So gathering all the documents for businesses, for personal accounts, from your spouse, from you, is going to help you to save a lot of money in discovery. Number 3, some people think, okay, let me plan for divorce by transferring my business interest to family members, friends, so that I don't have to share it with my spouse. And that causes financial disaster because the spouse will get it. It will look suspicious. It will include private investigation. It will include subpoenas to that company. It will include dragging the third person to the divorce, potentially even adding them as a third party to the divorce, potentially depose them about how much they contributed, what have they done in order to receive those interests, what is their what did they pay for it, their consideration. Was it for free? Was it just to minimize the community assets? So before doing in that semi-smart move, make sure to understand the consequences. And I suggest not to do it because it will create financial disaster. It will ruin your credibility for not only financial matters, but also it can impact custody matters. And that gets to my topic number 4. I typically say to clients, don't move out from the family home if you want to keep the same custodial schedule until you have parenting plan in place that is signed. Ideally, it's a court order by both parties and the judge. Once one spouse moves out, the other spouse is with the children, and they have that schedule for some time. It can last 6 months, and the court usually doesn't provide the other parent 50-50 schedule that they used to have 6 months ago because the children's stability is priority and in the best interest to not switch and mix things up for them. So they need stability, they need to stay in the same house. It could include moving downstairs if possible, or sometimes there's an exception. And I told that exception to one of my clients where there is domestic violence or someone is threatening to file domestic violence restraining order unjustifiably. So then I would move next door. Some people don't understand and don't notice, and that's number 5. that they are actually in a very abusive relationship. And I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about men too. They don't realize how much they suck up of emotional, they're being minimized, belittled, insulted in front of the children, devalued, unappreciated in a big level, or even in a way set up. One spouse can create a big scene and provoke a fight and record it, and then during that fight it can sound one-sided. That one spouse who actually initiated the fight, it doesn't record it, but also records the lash out from the other spouse who's upset and maybe also yelling. But anyway, be careful if you hear the words from your spouse, I don't feel safe with you, I'm afraid of you, out of the blue. It's kind of where I know they spoke to an attorney. Watch out, move the heck out of the home. Don't get involved. Don't be in the same room with the spouse, because I had cases where one spouse said in the court hallway that he or she told me, I'm going to kill you. You cannot prove it. You cannot, but that was done so that the other spouse is now in defensive, saying, I didn't say anything, and now it becomes she said, he said, and who's more credible. You don't want that situation, especially if you have custody. The reason why is because once divorce is on, it's 10x more stressful. Then you have to deal with bullying from your spouse. Waive spousal support, waive this, waive that, and you don't need that. So consider filing domestic violence restraining order so that you have peace of mind, and you only, if you have the money, communicate with the other spouse through your attorney as a buffer. Number 6, support system. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have a therapist who will help to guide through divorce, even if it's for 6 months. The goal of the therapist is, and I walk in and I say it to the therapist with clear intention, help me to stay on track with my divorce, not to change my mind, not to go off track, not to become inadequate or completely avoidant, or whatever can happen, to stay on track every week. Remind me why I'm doing this so I survive this divorce, because it's going to be very stressful. Therapist, forensic accountant. People underestimate. They think, sometimes I hear this a lot, oh, I can do the accounting, I can do the asset split. No, you can't. And it never happened. Never. Whenever someone said that, they cannot turn around within a couple weeks and provide me assets and debt split, because they don't know the law, they don't know which dates to use, which accounts, how to divide them, how post-separation accounting works. If one spouse stays in the house and then spends community money, how do we trace that? How retirement accounts are divided, how long-term spousal support to be calculated. If you procrastinate, delegate. So that's my motto in life. This is the type where I'm, as a lawyer, don't do accounting. I know some lawyers do, I don't. I delegate it to people who study it for a living, and they do it well, they do it fast and efficient. So I let them do it. Accountant, therapist, potentially co-parenting counselor, someone who will help to co-parent together, who has the degree, knowledge, and skill set to navigate conflicts that lawyers are not equipped to do. Lawyers are trained to either mediate or litigate, mostly litigate. And if mediate, it's usually related to money, not custody. Custody-related lawyers are very rare, and I would still defer to psychologists about that. There are many support systems. I have a book on Amazon called Divorce Like a Boss, and I have a list of support team. So I'm not going to go too much into depth about who else to hire, but 3 key people that I would hire as accountant, therapist, co-parenting counselor. And finally, number 7, why you shouldn't save money on a lawyer. One friend of mine, a lawyer, said the way he speaks to clients when they are starting to feel resentful about the price they pay for a lawyer is he says to them, look, if you found out you have cancer and you know that this person, this particular doctor can cure it and can heal it, would you find the money to do it? Of course you would, right? But for some reason, the people don't feel divorce is like that. To me, divorce is like cancer. It eats your nervous system up. It makes you angry person because I've been through. I know exactly. It's like a limbo of being a person. When I look back, I'm feeling ashamed for who I was during that time. It wasn't me. And so, and I was very lucky. I had a lawyer who was able to do it very fast. And I didn't put up a fight, which helped. So that removing that out of your life and delegate not to deal with it is already a big progress. For example, I, as a lawyer, I thought I can draft my own estate planning, and I procrastinated for a whole year. I paid the money for estate planning, paid the money for notary to come to my house, and it was done within a couple of weeks. So, and the memory of me thinking I need to do the estate planning every day ate up my energy. So hiring an experienced lawyer who knows when to fight, when not to fight, who has your best interest at heart is the type of lawyer you need. Because there are some lawyers who will instigate the feeling of anger and monetize that anger into litigation and escalate it. But there are some lawyers like me who will say, it was yesterday, I said it to a client who really appreciated it. I said, yes, your wife is taking advantage of you. And I can see this is the amount she's taking advantage of you. And if I take it on and fight it, we will win. But the price you're going to pay me is going to be the same that you're paying her to make it go away. I feel if I fight, I will take advantage of you if I do it. Because at this point, your best interest is not to pay me, but to pay her to make it go away. Not many people are going to say that. So watch how your lawyer talks to you and make sure you think also together about cost-benefit analysis. How much it will cost to win? And is it worth it to pay the lawyer for their kids to go to college or for your children to go to college? So you have to outweigh that as well. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, link them down in the comment section or write them down in the comment section below. And I will see you in my next consultation.